Good morning, students. My name is Gisela Siririka. I'm your tutor for Basic Information Science. The presentation today is based on the exam for 2020, the April, August, and November exams. It means that when you prepare for your examination next year, you use this presentation for all the 3 exams. The first slide is on the learning outcomes, or the exit outcomes, what you are supposed to achieve at the end of the day, at the end of the year, at the end of the week, at the end of, what we are expecting you to achieve. Now, specifically for this one is at the end of your exam, what you are supposed to know to be ready for that exam. You need to describe the basic information concepts. I will not go through all this. You have it in your study guide. I just want you to know the verbs, the action verbs. You must know the difference between the different types of verbs, for example, to describe, to list, to explain, distinguish, You should just know that difference. Otherwise, all this is in your study guide. All these are your learning outcomes. These are the learning outcomes. Now we come to the first slide, which is on the definition of concepts. You must know the different types of concepts. You need to understand them, to know them. For example, the concept lock-in. If I say define the word lock-in, what does it mean? And I just put a photo there so that you can see what lock-in means. It's when you open your computer, sometimes you are requested to use your username, to give your username there, and then your password. You should have your password and your username for you to have access to the computer. The next concept is the data, which is raw, unorganized facts that needs to be processed. It means that this is, especially when you go out to conduct research, when you collect the information, that information is still raw. For example, you collect this in your mother tongue directly from the people. That information is still raw until it is processed. And data can be something simple and random as useless, and useless until it is organized. It means that this information is still useless until it is organized, until it is analyzed. And information is when the data is processed, it is organized and structured or presented in a given context as to make it useful. And you see that when the information is structured, is processed, is organized, then it is called information because it's now useful. You can use it, you can trust it. Now we come to the next slide, which is on the DDC. We call it Dewey Decimal Classification, and how it works. This system organizes books on a shelf. When you go into the library, you want to take a book, you will follow this system. They call it the Dewey Decimal Classification, DDC, which was developed by Melville Dewey in 1876. We have 10 classes. There are more than 10. There are sub-classes, but we will only concentrate on the 10 classes, the main 10 classes. These are the main 10 classes of the Dewey Decimal Classification. The first one is 000, the computer science, knowledge, and systems. The second one is 100, which is philosophy. The third one is religion, which is 200. 300 is social sciences and sociology and anthropology. And the 400 is language. 500 is science. 600 is technology. And 700 is arts and recreation. 800 is literature, rhetoric, and criticism. And 900 is history. It means that when you enter the library and you need a book, or you enter a resource center, you need a book, let me say a philosophy book, you go to 100. If you need a history book, you go to the 900. It means the shelf now. When you enter the library, you will see that on each shelf there are numbers. The Dewey Decimal Classification numbers are written there. You will just go there and you read. And otherwise, you go to the librarian, and the librarian will tell you where the book is. But this is the best. If you know it, it will help you. Now you need to know the difference between scanning and skimming. We don't make a difference between the two concepts. What is skimming? Skimming is a technique that includes reading the introduction, the headlines of the first phrase of the paragraph, or the first phrase of a paragraph. When you want to, maybe you want to read a book, you must first read the introduction just to get an idea what is going on, just to get that clue, the headlines, or the first phrase of the paragraph. On the other hand, scanning means looking over the whole text quickly in search of specific information. I'm just looking for this information. Then I will just, you just scan. You go through, you just scan it. You skim a text at first sight and decide on whether to read it in full. You skim. If you don't like the book, you will just skim. And if you don't like it, then you will not read it. You say, okay, no, I don't think I like this book. Sometimes you also check it at the back of the book and you get that information, the background information there. It will give you an idea, and then you will read the book, or you decide that you will not read it. Skimming is to get only the main idea, to know the general overview, while scanning is to locate a specific facts or piece of information. Notice only the clue words. You are just looking for that, the main words. You are looking for that idea only. That's when you are scanning. Now, what are the educational games, the disadvantages of educational games? There are games for children, games for learners to play with. Now, some are having disadvantages and advantages. Now, what are the disadvantages? Physical strain. It means that the educational game, it's easy for children to feel addicted to computers and online games. Then sometimes at your house you will see at home that a child will sit on just busy with the game, playing the game up to very late. They don't stop it. It means that they are addicted to this. They will sit in a certain spot for hours on end playing them. My kids at home, they like that, especially these young ones. This long-term use can result in neck, then it will give the neck problem, it will give you headache, eye strain, it will give you all this problem, and sometimes we are so tired that you cannot even, move or do things the way you are supposed to. Or you also have mood swings, It's like you are in moods. Today you are like this, and you are angry because you lost the game and all this. To avoid these physical symptoms, encourage children to take breaks from the game, If the game is healthy, if it is good for the child to play, tell the child to rest a bit and not just to play for 3 hours, 4 hours without stopping. It can also have some side effects like the mental effects. Educational games can affect children mentally. Okay? For instance, children may want to play until they win or advance in the game. Can you see? This is what I said. The child just wants to play until he or she wins the game. This determination can cause low self-esteem because you lost. Now you don't have that confidence in yourself. You feel like you are stupid because you could not win this game. Or you have an aggressive behavior. If the parent wants to send you somewhere, the child is just aggressive because he lost that game, especially if children keep losing the game. Additionally, because these games can become addicting, overuse can cause social isolation and poor social skills. It means that when a child loses a game, that child will be isolated, will not want to communicate, or do not want to play with others. That child is just there on her or his own in a corner in a classroom. The learner is just very quiet, because of the game. And you as a teacher, you don't even know what's going on, but this child knows because of that game. The child have now lost that confidence and feeling like I'm not part of this group is better than me, all those things. It is important for your child to interact with the world around him and spend time with his friends and family. Games are good, but then learners should also have time to sit with the family, with your teachers and other learners in the class, to play with others instead of just sticking to the games. It is a waste of time. Games can also waste time. Educational games can also be a major time waster, taking away from time that your child could spend studying. Your child was supposed to study. Now the child is just busy playing this game. Or the child was even supposed to participate in social events with others, Or maybe you have, where they can go and play together as children or learners. Now this learner is just there playing the game the whole day, which is a waste of time. Enforce rules with your child about gaming. As a parent, as a teacher, you should have rules. You should have rules in your classroom that no games in my classroom. These games, we only play it in the 3rd period or the 4th period. No one will play a game during the day. You should have your rules in your classroom. It's you who made the rules. It's you and the learners who made these rules. Let him know that he needs to finish his homework or studying before playing any game, including educational games. You must tell your learners in your class that you can play your games once you are done with your homework. Encourage them that when they go home, they must not play games the whole day. They should do their homework. Once done, then they can play their games. Set a time limits for playing educational games to prevent him from wasting time. You must have time. Set your time for learners. As I said that, for example, we say in the 4th period, we are all going to play the mathematical game. Our game on mathematics or physical science or natural science, environmental studies, or a language game. You should set time for that. It also makes learners to have this negative behavior. If a game requires children to shoot at objects or people, it may encourage violence. Your games, you should look at the games. It should be educational. cannot just come up with any game that they should play with any game, because the learners might learn other negative behavior. Your child may want to copy some of these behaviors with friends or family members. You know that they have played the game, now they want to practice or they want to apply this outside with to shoot a sister or a brother, you know. This is very dangerous. Before giving your child an educational game, investigate its content. You must know the game before you give it to your child, not just to buy it and then you give it to them. No, you must also play it, see it, whether it is appropriate for that level. If something within the game is objectionable, you can either prevent your child from playing it or talk about the game beforehand. This is what I said, that make sure that you know the game, you understand the game before you give it to your child. Let your child know that it's only fantasy and that she shouldn't demonstrate this X in real life. Yeah, you should tell them that this is just a game, this is just a story. You should not practice it. You must not demonstrate this in the classroom with the other learners. Now we look at the layout of the newspaper. You know, I used to ask this question on the layout of the newspaper, that you need to explain this, but students get it wrong. And then I said, let me explain this in a different way. Maybe you will understand it. Now, if I ask you to explain the layout of the newspaper, you come up with the title of the book. That's the title of the newspaper. The verso title page is the inside page, which tells you the author, the illustrator, the publisher. You also have the copyright. We call it a copyright page. In some books, you find it that it is called a copyright page. Okay? The author is a person who writes, oh, this is not the explain the layout of the newspaper. That's a book. It's of the book. Sorry for that. And then the publisher, the company who prints the book, it could be Hamsberg, which is now NPH, and then it could be Longman. It could be Zebra Publishers, you know. Illustrator, the person who draws the picture for a book. And illustration, the drawing, the photographs, and other images which are in the book. Preface is the introduction to the book. When you open the book, the first, I think it's the first two, after the table of content, you find the acknowledgement, and then you find, it's first the acknowledgement, the introduction, and then you find the preface. That gives you the introduction to the book. The table of content, okay, the table of content is after the preface, okay, the list of chapters with their page numbers or the list of units in your book, okay? The appendix is extra information put near at the end of the book, okay? The glossary, you have the index, they have the title page, okay? And then you have the bibliography. This is the list of books to read, the list of all the books which you read, all the books. But then the books which you selected, which you cited, that we call it the references, okay? And then you have the cover page. The cover page is where you have the title, the author, you know, and maybe some illustration, photos, images. And the back page, the back usually contains the summary of the book. It sometimes might contains the critical reviews, okay, the blurb, they call it blurb. And then you have the reference page, which include all and only the sources you cited within the book. That is what I said, that it's only those ones which are included in the book. You read everything, but you just selected a few. Now, the reference materials. When you enter a library or a research center, you find a section where you just find reference materials. And on our Dewey Decimal Classification, this will be 000, the 000. That's where you will find these books. The reference works are those resources that you only want to refer to a small section of the work, either to find a quick fact or to get a general overview of the issue. That's when you go to a dictionary, you go to an encyclopedia. Do learners know how to use them correctly? You must make sure that learners in your classroom, they know how to use an encyclopedia, they know how to use an Oxford, they know how to use an atlas. You know, you must show them how to use these things. Do they know how to locate them on the shelf, you know, locate them to put them after using them? They go, take it by using the Dewey Decimal Classification, and then after reading, they have to take it back. You must know where to put it. They must know how to locate them back on the shelves. Okay, these are the examples. And then we have the layout of the newspaper. Yes, this is what I wanted. The other one is the layout of the book. This one is the layout of the newspaper. You have the front page, which is the cover page. We call it the cover page when you have a book. The newspaper is the front page, editor's page, where the editor is writing something, then maybe a message to the public or to the society. And then you have the news report, where you get all the news, what is happening. Like in Namibia, we are busy with the election. When you find a newspaper, you will find it in that section. And then you have the advertisement, like this classified, you know, you have seen it in the newspapers. It's there, advertisements. And then the cartoons, especially for teachers who are for the grade 1 up to 3, cartoons will be good for them. Others can also use cartoons, but at their level, you know, a cartoon it depends on the level, okay? The advertisement, the repetition is the same, which I said, and then you have the sport page at the end. The sport page is always the last one in the newspaper. Now, the features of different kinds of newspaper. I realize that if I ask this question of features of different kinds of newspaper, people will say the front page, they will mention this instead of telling me that this is the daily newspapers. Which ones are the daily newspapers? I decided to put all these daily newspapers so that you can just know the difference, because some of you will not know which one is a daily newspaper, which one is an international newspaper, which one is a national newspaper, you know. We should know this difference, or local newspaper. The daily newspaper is the Allgemeine Zeitung, the Republicans, the Sun, New Era, Namibian. These are our own newspapers. These are the Namibian newspapers. And then we go to the regional ones. A regional newspaper is specific for that region. For example, the Windhoek Municipality Alu. We know it, there it is on my left side. That's the newspaper from the municipality. You have the Villager newspaper. The Villager newspaper, I think, is from Shana or Shikoto. It's from the northern region. And then you have the Caprivi Vision. The Caprivi Vision is from Zambezi region. I don't know whether this newspaper will change the name or it will stick to Caprivi Vision, because now the region have changed to Zambezi region. Maybe it will be Zambezi Vision. Omutumwa, again, another newspaper, local newspaper. It's our regional newspaper. And Kudana, they call it Kudana. It's a newspaper also from our own communities. And then you have a weekly local newspaper. This is the Windhoek Observer, the Informant, and the Confident. There they are. These are examples of the weekly newspapers, our own, local. And then you have the international newspapers. International means it's not from Namibia, it's from outside. For example, India. In India, they have the Hindu newspaper, the Times of India newspaper. They have the Deccan Herald newspaper. You know, they have different types of newspapers. I just put on what I could find. And then South Africa, they have the Daily Express newspaper, Daily Mirror newspaper. They have the Times newspaper. You know, there are a lot of them, but I just put those ones. And then you come to UK, they have the Daily Expression newspaper. They have the Independent newspaper, the Daily Mirror newspaper. And then you go to Botswana. They have the Sunday Standard newspaper, or they have the Mokgotsi newspaper, they have the Guardian, the Gazette, you know, they have different names. It depends from country to country. These are all international newspapers, meaning that they are not from Namibia. We have the journals. These are articles that are written by researchers or academics. You know, these are journals. If you want to write on something, you have a topic, you write something on it, you give it to the journal. Like these are the NEED journal, Ministry of Education journals. Now, that's the end of my presentation. This is just to give you a clue, just to give you an idea what is going on, how the paper is going to look like. The most important thing for you is to concentrate on the learning outcomes. You must know those learning outcomes. They are from different units from your study guide. It's not only from unit 1 to 3. No, all of them. You must know all the units. You must know all those learning outcomes. Have an idea of what is in this unit. Try to understand them. Try to put things in your own words. Try to give examples. And the time to contact me, it will be Monday to Friday from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the evening. And weekends is 8 to late. You can call me anytime on weekends. I don't have a problem. If I'm inside, if I'm not outside the town, I will respond to your need. I will help you where possible. And then the examination format, the duration is 2 hours for each paper. Each question paper consists of 4 questions. The total is 100 marks for each paper. Make sure that you read the questions, you answer according to the questions. If the question asks you to give, let me say the question consists of 20 marks, don't give 5 sentences only. Don't give just a small paragraph. Write as much as possible, please, so that you can get your marks. If I say it's only 5 marks, don't give me 3 pages. You will lose your marks. Okay, thank you. The study materials for both exams. This is the Shituka study guide. You should all have this basic information science study guide. written by Ms. Chituka, MT, 2013. And the assignments, you must know all your assignments. And the presentations for April, August, November 2019, which means that it's this presentation. You must have this presentation for you to pass your exam next year. Please feel free to contact me if you don't understand, if you have questions, if you have comments, you can call me. I'm free. Thank you.